Hey guys, Northwesterner here. Just wanted to post a little review about my JK boots. It's been almost a month now, probably about a month. Been wearing them more or less every day, probably about 150 hours or so in the boots. And just want to talk a little bit about the quality and everything that I've kind of went through with boots in the last 10 years, 12 years of my life. Going from the cheapest boots possible from Walmart to what's supposedly super high quality Danner and Red Wings to actual real good quality, which would include these JK boots and Whites and Nicks and all the other quality boots out there being made more or less handmade now, with the help of machines, of course. A few of my followers asked me about these boots. It's kind of a process figuring out what boots work for you and why, and what all goes into it for each individual person, and talk a little bit about the attributes of these particular boots and why I chose them. Maybe a little bit about philosophy and why someone would order a custom boot or go through the process of getting a custom boot like these. Some about the quality, and also why it's important for your feet to be happy and how it can make the rest of your life a whole lot better and easier and whatnot. And you get what you pay for in footwear, and you pretty much get what you pay for everything in life. So it gets kind of expensive, but it's a tool. You wear your boots every day, or maybe you don't wear your boots every day, but I sure do. And a lot of you people out there watching wear your boots every day, and it's often overlooked. So I kind of want to give everyone a little bit of a review as to why these boots are great, or why a person might want to go ahead and order a pair of boots. I guess it's going to be more of inclusive kind of boot philosophy video, as well as the review on these JK boots. JK Boots out of Spokane, Washington. It's a small outfit. From my understanding, it's a father and two sons. They own the place. I've spoken with all three of them over the phone. I think they're in the same building as a mother or wife. So it's a big family over there, and nothing but helpful. Fairly quick turnaround for custom boots. It's extremely fast turnaround. Took them about 5 weeks in full to get these boots to my door. Everyone else is 8 to 20 weeks depending upon who it is. So that's real nice. If you need boots in a hurry, like tomorrow or yesterday even, these guys have a boot that'll work for you, most likely, as long as you don't have a custom fit, kind of like me or a few other people. It's my understanding about 5% of people need a custom fit. Most everyone else will fit in a stock boot, and a lot of these high-end boot makers have most stock sizes available already pre-made, as long as you're comfortable with the colors they have pre-made, which are typically black. These particular boots are custom lowers, meaning the section where your foot goes in, the footbed, and the fit around your foot and heel and instep, which not everyone needs custom. So that costs extra, usually around 100 to 150 bucks more, is my understanding, depending upon the manufacturer. And these are also a custom cut upper. For me, I have a funny ankle as well as a low volume foot, so I need a custom fit upper as well. So that kind of adds to the cost too. It's my understanding it's anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks, depending on how much custom upper you need and whatnot. All these prices are just roughly what it cost me. These boots cost me right around $600 after tax and shipping and all that stuff. And a lot of you are going to say, "Wow, that's crazy, $600." Well, it's not crazy. It's essential for me to have these boots and have them be comfortable and last a long time. Most boots don't last very long at all. I go through a pair of the factory Danner Quarries in about 8 months, and these boots, given I haven't had these JKs for long, but White's boots in the past have lasted me 2-3 years before I needed a rebuild. And it's my understanding you can get several rebuilds out of an upper, although all the boots I've ever had never made it to a rebuild because they weren't the right fit. But that being said, you can usually get 2, maybe even 3 rebuilds on an upper, is my understanding. So, for someone who's even using their boots hard, just say you have to rebuild your boots every other year, and you have to resole them every year. Resoles around 100 bucks, rebuilds around $225, $250 for a stock lower, every other year, and then you get 2 3 rebuilds. It's the price isn't as hard to swallow when you look at it in chunks like that and how long the boot will really last. All that is completely independent of fit and comfort. These boots are going to be much more comfortable than anything you can pretty much buy off the shelf, unless your foot fits in a stock boot, in which case a high-end boot will still be more comfortable in time, just because of the materials and how they break into your foot and how long they'll last. The arch support on these boots are great. It's pretty fairly high heel lift there, which most people think it's only for loggers, but reality is it's a lot more comfy to stand in all day for a lot of people, not everyone. Given I'm definitely generalizing about a lot of these things, but I'd say for most people, a lot of these things will hold true. But I'll talk a little bit about the features of these particular boots, and then I'll go into why I think it's important for someone to consider a boot like this early on. For some of you younger guys, gals even, who don't really know anything about boots, or just assume that a boot's a boot. That's certainly not the case, I assure you, and I've spent thousands of dollars finding that out the hard way. Completely independent of comfort, just the durability alone gives you your value out of a high quality boot like this. If you're not working in your boots every day, all day, or even if you're in your boots, say a couple hours a week, maybe a high-end boot like this isn't for you. But for a lot of us who spend most of the work week, if not, the whole week, including our extracurricular activities, so to speak, in boots, it's real important to get something that fits and that's super high quality and that'll last you and be real comfortable. So anyway, with this boot, you can probably notice on the bottom there's a little bit of a different look. It's called rough out, so it's the other side of the skin of the leather there that's not typically on the outside. You usually see it on the inside, but as it turns out, it's real resistant to abrasion and cuts. There you can see, you can run your nail on it and then kind of rub your hand across it, and sure enough, it's almost gone there. So that's pretty handy. And I've always had smooth out boots in the past. These are my first pair of rough out lowers, and I can tell you straight off, they are a whole lot more abrasion resistant and cut resistant than the smooth leather on the top here. Some people say it doesn't look quite as nice. I actually think it looks great. The next thing you'll probably notice about this boot is this different colored lower there, the sole, excuse me. The sole is what they're calling the honey sole, made by Vibram, however you want to pronounce it. And it's softer rubber. It definitely is more comfortable to walk on, but it's a lot like a race car tire. It's going to wear out quicker. I've already seen that in the about month I've been wearing these. They definitely wear a lot faster. And also, I personally called Vibram and asked them about the oil resistance of this particular sole, and they told me that it is not resistant to oil and that it could swell, meaning it will kind of take on the oil and get squishy and messed up. So if you're working in a shop environment where you might see a lot of oil or grease, which I do with these boots, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it on that fact. But there again, I haven't seen these break down by any means yet, although they are really new as far as boots are concerned. So the jury's still out on that feature. However, it does look really nice, and it is soft to walk on. So if you're walking on concrete a lot without oil, or pretty much any hard surface you're walking on, rocks, they're definitely going to be more forgiving. They also do break in quite a bit faster because they're softer. That hard black Vibram is real hard on the break-in. It's pretty stiff for a long time. The next feature, going from the bottom up, is that kind of natural color. They're calling it the, I think it's a natural finish. I can't remember exactly what JK is calling it, but it's more or less just a stained, I think that's what it is, a stained finish, where it's just the natural color of the leather. So that's pretty interesting there. I really like the look of it. I don't think that whether it's dyed or stained or whatever they use there, it doesn't make it any more or less durable. I think it's just an aesthetic thing, and I really do like the look of that with the honey sole. Going up from there is the rough out lower, which I already went over quite a bit. It is really nice. real nice look, and it's very robust. Definitely real durable, especially compared to the smooth out leather. Excuse me. Um, Definitely more durable compared to the smooth out leather. Going up, you can probably notice that the eyelets there are nickel plated or completely nickel. I'm not certain if they're just nickel plated, but they're certainly harder. Um, I went with those for aesthetic reasons, and also I found that in the past the nickel eyelets tend to last a little longer before they deform and tend to not cut laces like a brass eyelet or hook would. Over time they kind of tend to deform a bit, given this is just over the experience I've had in the last 12 years with both nickel and brass eyes. The hooks I haven't had too much of a problem with either way. Then the smooth out upper, it's again aesthetic. The upper doesn't really see the same abuse that the rough out does on the lower. So I think you could go either way there. That being said, in a high abrasion environment, kind of like crawling around on the rocks, if you're laying down a lot, or you have a bunch of sticks smashing up against your ankles or whatever, I might go ahead and do a full rough out boot, which I think would look great and probably be even more robust than the smooth out. But it really depends on your application there. I have found the smooth out leather to kind of keep out water a little better than the rough out. The rough out tends to kind of soak up the water a little bit more readily. Being here in Western Washington, it doesn't really matter either way. Your boot's going to get wet and your foot's going to get wet if it's raining out, which it is most of the time. So I'd say that, I guess if you really hate your feet being wet, then that might be a problem. But if you're in an environment like I am, they're going to get wet anyway. So you might as well have something that's tough. If your foot's going to be wet anyway, it doesn't make too much of a difference. But there again, someone in a different climate might not have the same needs. So that's for you guys to decide. So the upper, yeah, this is a 10-inch upper, which I prefer. It gives you a good ankle support and some protection on your leg. Went with the smooth out just because that's kind of the convention, and they seem to hold up pretty well for me. I really like them. Other than that, that's pretty much the whole boot. The rest of it's pretty standard. This is a lace toe version, so you have the eyelets coming all the way down there. Kind of give you a little more adjustability in the toe box area and around the instep, which is handy. And I guess the last thing is those laces you may notice are from a company on the East Coast area called, I think it's Pisca Range or Pish Range LTD. Excuse me for the pronunciation. Maybe I'll just ask them and annotate that on how it's supposed to be pronounced. But I guess PRLTD for this time. They're really awesome paracord lace. Actually, I was pretty skeptical to begin with. Gentleman who owns the company assured me that they'd be high quality. And when I got them, I was pleasantly surprised with the fact that the sheath, meaning the inner core and the outer sheath, are actually not as independent of each other as a lot of lower quality paracord. And I was talking with him. He told me that the paracord that he uses is military grade, and he spent a whole lot of time figuring out which the strongest paracord was and the highest quality. He was in the military himself, so he wanted to make sure he is producing a really high quality product, and he takes pride in his work. These JK boots, it's also quite apparent they take a lot of pride in their work. They're just absolutely beautiful. The build quality is mostly flawless. There is one small thing I have to nitpick, was the eyelets. I think it's because they're the nickel instead of the brass. When they did get stamped out or pressed together there was some kind of sharp burrs on a few of them, and I had to take a deburring reamer and deburr the eyelets a bit so they wouldn't cut the laces. Very, very small complaint. Definitely nothing to be too concerned about. But if you do order a nickel eyelet there, I would definitely be cautious of that. If you do see something, maybe run a reamer through it, or maybe, JK will take note of this and remount those burrs if they do exist. It wasn't on every single one. It was just on a couple of them. Not a huge deal. I have those tools, but definitely something to take note of with that particular type of eyelet, this hard nickel eyelet. You probably noticed there's full-length false tongues here. Most people ask me why I have those. I think that they give you more protection around the shin, and also they kind of protect the tongue, which, you know, you want to preserve that tongue because it's really soft, thin leather compared to the rest of the boot, and you don't want to make sure that you don't mess that up. It's always good to mess up a piece of sacrificial leather. JK actually took these false tongues and feathered them. You can see right here, they're feathered, so it's nice and thin on the edges. I've never seen a boot company that does that and take that much attention to detail. I was really impressed when I saw that. But yeah, I really like these boots. I guess the last few little things I want to talk about are why you'd buy some boots like this, and I did talk about that a little bit earlier in the video, but I really have to emphasize that buy once, cry once, guys. I mean, if you're gonna invest, you know, $200-300 in a pair of boots, you know, and you're gonna wear them a lot, depend on them time in, time out, you know, every day more or less for years, you know, just put the money in up front and get something that's gonna last. Because the difference between a boot like this, which is, you know, if you don't need a custom boot, you're really looking around $475 in that area. That's, you know, it's just a lot of money for sure, but you know, it's not anywhere near the difference, you know, between a $300 Danner or Red Wing versus a boot like this is, I mean, that extra 175 bucks is money well spent, in my opinion. And had I known that 10 years ago, man, I would have saved thousands and thousands of dollars on boots. I just destroyed everything, and I don't know. These are the only things that I've found to hold up. So I guess that's more or less it. I probably forgot something. I really hope that somebody gets something out of this review and talk about boots. And I'm going to keep trying to post some stuff up. I got a pair of Nicks coming on the way too. They're a little bit different style boot. They're also going to be a custom fit, and I'll talk about those once I get them good and broken, and I'll probably release a little bit of a unboxing video for them as well.